Welcome back to the Garden with Joy and Holly radio show. Happy you're with us. It's time for your garden questions and our garden answers. Send them on over to gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com. Or you can give us a call at give us a call toll free, coast to coast, at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-7469. If we can't get to you, leave a message. We will call you back with the answer to your question. Let's see what we can do, Holly.
All right. When does one pick cucumbers? All my cukes are green, but never had yellow ones.
Well, you want to pick them before. Okay, first, so let's back up. It depends on the variety of cucumber. If you have white variety cucumbers, that's a thing. You need to pick them when they're white. If you have brown variety of cucumbers, you need to pick them when they're brown. So let's go with the traditional green variety, the pickling or the straight 8. When they become a dark green at a moderate size, something that you would be okay picking, you want to harvest them. If you harvest them too early, that's okay. When you harvest them too late, that is when they become yellow and they are maturing, and then they become bitter inside because they are working towards not developing but seed reproduction.
Right. And when we say brown cucumbers, they're more of like an earthy dark green. It's not like a brown. I would say like a brownish green, as opposed to like just brown.
But there's multiple varieties of cucumbers. It's just not green. And same thing with tomatoes. It's not just red tomatoes. There's multiple varieties of tomatoes that are available that you can grow, from purple to white to green and everything in between.
We grew some white cucumbers.
Yeah, we grew some white cucumbers.
I think they were a little sweeter. I can't remember.
I know the giant white tomatoes I felt was much, much sweeter than the red or purple tomatoes.
Yes. All right, so next question is, how is the best way to know when to harvest my sweet corn?
Okay, so when you harvest your sweet corn, there's really one significant way to tell when it's ready to go. The hares, sweet corn is typically, you can pick it when the kernels are in the milky stage, which is usually about 18 to 20 days after the silk turns brown. That is the hairs coming out of the ear of corn. Now, not all the way brown to the husk, but the outer portion, 1 to 2 inches is brown. To check if the corn is in the milky stage, we're talking sweet corn here, you can pull back a little bit of the husk, and at the end of the ear, you can press your fingernail into the kernel, and if it squirts out a white milky substance, it's ready. If not, gently cover the husk back over the kernel ears and give it a couple more days. Once you get used to knowing when to harvest, you can just look at the ear and pretty much tell, especially if you're buying sweet corn, you can kind of tell it's a very firm, large density of an ear. And for people who may not be aware, the process of the sweet corn or any corn is the tassel, which contains the pollen, falls to the hairs. Each hair represents a kernel inside of the husk on the cob. So if the hair does not get pollinated, that is the bare spot when you take the husk off and you see blotchiness of where it's just cob and no kernel because it wasn't pollinated correctly. That is why it's recommended to grow in blocks. Now, you will see the occasional image on social media where somebody has grown a ear or a stalk of corn in a 5-gallon bucket or a grow bag by itself. They don't really show the kernels on the cob, but it can be done. So, and there is a difference between sweet corn and agricultural field corn. Agricultural field corn, even in the milky state, is very bitter. It does not taste good. It doesn't have the sweetness that the sweet corn has. So they're very different even at the same stage. Now, you can, if you're wanting to save sweet corn, you've got a very nice patch of sweet corn, and you want to save seeds, you can harvest all the ears except for 1 or 2 and allow them to stay on the stalk and go through the natural dying off process like you would see the agricultural corn do. And in the fall, before it freezes, go ahead and take that ear corn off, husk it, and then you can let that kernels on the cob on that ear dry in an indirect cool area in your house, and then you can flake it off and dekernel it and put it in a marked bag and keep it in a cool, dry place until it is time to plant it next year. I am ready to planting my garden for next year and was told to only buy heirloom seeds. Is this true? And if so, why?
So it's up to your discretion. You can buy only heirloom seeds, but
what is an heirloom seed for those who are just regular gardeners that just kind of grab a pack of seeds that they see on sale at the garden center?
So heirloom seeds are the heirloom variety. They are the passed down variety.
Tried and true.
Yeah. Kind of, I don't want to say like the original seed, but kind of that concept where it's like this seed has been around for a long time. If you think about what an heirloom is, it's something that's been around for quite some time. And these heirloom seeds are, sometimes you don't even realize you're buying an heirloom variety because they've kind of just become the standard at times.
Open pollinated varieties of vegetables, flowers, and herbs that have been passed down through generations without breeding for at least 50 years. They have been passed down through generations.
There you go. 50 years.
Yeah, 50 years, yeah.
At least.
Maybe some of our listeners are heirloom.
Maybe.
I don't know if that is applying across spectrums there, but maybe.
Anyway. So you can buy only heirloom seeds. That's up to your discretion. That's what heirloom seeds are. Some people do think that hybrid seeds are bad for some reason, and then there's a lot of information out there.
Hybrid does not equate to genetically modified.
Correct. And I think a lot of people get that in their head, or somebody on the internet said something, or
because that's true.
Neighbor,
if it's on the internet,
friend, whatever.
Misinformation.
Yeah. So. And then even, I don't know, conventional seeds, whatever you want to call them, just regular seeds.
Organic, standard seeds, yeah.
Yeah. I would just say those are just as fine as well. I'm a non-limited gardener. So, like, if I want to grow a variety, like early girl tomatoes, for example, I'm going to grow early girl tomatoes, even though I do like, heirloom variety tomatoes, but I also like a plethora of things.
The hybrids, there are some benefits to hybrids, meaning that they have been not genetically modified, but they have been adapted in a way in which some are more disease resistant to some of the newer problems that gardeners are facing. The old traditional heirlooms may not have that resistance that they have crossed into a drought tolerant or a bug resistance or rust this or powdery mildew that resistant. The new varieties may have that the old or heirloom varieties do not have the ability, the genetics in order to repel those or fight those specific problems you're going to face. As a raised bed gardener, I am clearing out my beds before the next planting. Do you recommend adding anything to the beds before I set my next crop in them? Well, you certainly can add a couple inches of compost. If you have had diseased problems, powdery mildew, squash vine borer, whatever the case is, you want to be aware of that and adapt to those particular needs, whether disturbing the soil. But if we're just going to go with everything's fine. You just harvested one thing and now you're ready to plant something else. About an inch of compost would be fine. Now, if you don't want to go buy bulk compost, though it is more affordable, maybe you don't need a ton or a yard of compost. You just need 2 or 3 bags. Now's a really good time to get it on sale at these garden centers because they're wanting to get rid of it. They don't want to store it. They don't want to have to do whatever they need to do to it. So an inch, and don't even mix it in. Don't even, just an inch of soil, a potting soil or compost on top, and then plant your seeds into it, water it in, and you're good to go. Well, with that being said, Holly, we're about ready to be good to go here. It's time for what we learned today. And I learned, and I did not know this from our guest, Dee Nash, that there are forest fires or fires in Oklahoma. Had no clue about that. I knew in the West, but in Oklahoma. So,
Yeah, that was interesting. I learned about the seed bank in Norway. I knew about the seed bank in Norway, but I learned that it's kept at 0 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yep. And when we're all gone and there's nobody here, the seeds will be fine.
Yes.
What we learned today is brought to you by Honey Bee Healthy.
HoneyBeeHealthy.com is serious about the business of bees and helping beekeepers maintain healthy and thriving hives. Whether you're a professional beekeeper or a bee hobbyist, we've got the products to make you maintain a healthy hive. Honey Bee Healthy products are made in the USA. You can visit honeybeehealthy.com.